All right, hey, welcome back to What's the Word? Fishier than a Swan Sanchez reference, juicier than whatever Alana Mosvani is eating in every episode. She's eating fruit every single episode.
Right.
That's like a thing now. Juicy. I'm Amanda Sedai, this is Warder Bill, and we're talking about episode 6, The Flame of Tar Valon. But first, Bill and I want to thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, but last episode we put out just like a fun little casting special when we had just kind of casually read that years ago Robert Jordan had come up with a fan cast for Wheel of Time, and we did a little video on it, and in one day it hit 500 views, which is really exciting for us for a new podcast. So thank you so much, everybody who's been liking and a lot of sharing and all that stuff. So we appreciate that so much. But Bill, can we dig into episode 6?
Before we do that, thank you.
I guess not.
Yes, absolutely. You said that. But as I'm told, we're supposed to try and get other people to like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. That does help.
Is that what I did?
Apparently. Well, you said thank you, but it does help. You know. So anyone else, if you feel so inclined, you like what we do, help us out.
Maybe like, maybe subscribe, maybe share. I don't know.
I'm not gonna say smash. Anyway. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
So, like, I swear, I was like, oh my god, at like every 5 minutes in this episode, like. So I'm gonna say this now. So if you need to turn this off, to turn it off. But this is gonna be a spoilers episode. We're gonna be talking about book stuff that happens through the entire series. There would be way too many spoiler alerts because the things that happened in this episode and the changes that were made have ramifications that echo throughout the entire series. So, Bill, as a non-book reader, what did you think of this episode?
I have never read any books.
Like, not even like the Cardboard Kid books.
Yeah, no, none of that. I'm actually illiterate.
So you don't even know that your shirt says, I can show you some trash. You don't even know that.
I am that trash. Let me see that. I got the microphone. I meant to set up. I had a nice new microphone stand I got. $15.
The wheel weaves is the wheel wills. I could also come up with a Swan fish pun. Like, the sardines will get there in their own time. I don't know.
That's the title. That's the title of this episode. The sardines will get
in their own
episode
time.
5.
6.
Is it 6?
This is episode 6 of the show.
No, there's 5, isn't it?
No, it's 6. There's one.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, wow, yeah, I'm not ready for that. Okay, so no.
Okay,
fantastic. I was able to pick up on a lot of like, wait, that's not how it happened, and I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into that last bit. Probably the most shocking thing was the very end. We'll see how that plays out. But before we get into all that stuff, to me, the magic word for this episode was presence. And I felt like this was they like build it up. They hit their stride here.
Oh my god.
But I think most importantly, I mean, it was obviously very much Moraine's episode, which it should have been. And again, I heard it pronounced both ways, Moiraine and Moiraine.
No, and also Moiraine. There was somebody who was like Moiraine.
But I'm going to go with how the Amyrlin pronounced it, which is Moiraine. They're friends.
Cool.
Friends with benefits.
Hello, friends is how the books describe it.
So that relationship really worked. But hold on, before we get into that, presence. And so I think that all of the characters, they all had such presence and weight. And I don't know if it's just because I'm familiar with them now and I know how the actors are portraying them. But I think overall, when they were on screen, they just had that sort of that same magnetic feel, that gravitas that Matt has had the entire show. And now it's the point when they come on screen, and I feel like, oh, cool. But most importantly, Moiraine. She looked phenomenal.
Oh my god!
She had such presence. I think she delivered everything like impeccably. This was fantastic. Like this was like a highlight of the show. Looked great, sounded great, incredible weight behind everything, all of her actions and like every scene, every look.
Costume.
Yeah. So I mean, how okay, Moiraine, how did you feel about her?
Okay.
According to your understanding of the character?
So when I've been watching the show, I've been like, yeah, that's Moiraine. Like, she's been doing a great job as Moiraine, and a lot of fans have been like, oh my god, Rosamund is the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been as into Rosamund's interpretation
No,
of
I've
Moiraine. You've actively disliked
yes.
it, but we haven't said that so much on the show. It's more like
well, so the first episode in particular, yes.
Yeah.
But and so I think it was the way they were recording her voice and hadn't quite found her form and like how she's channeling. They've got it. It's like that's it. You like so I don't know if I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't
right.
Fantastic. Like she's Moiraine.
She was the only word. Radiant. She looked so beautiful. Her costume design is like I need to cosplay that. Like I need to find some of those people who like make costumes and make me one like now. And she finally, in my opinion, had that Aes Sedai agelessness. The way her face looked, I don't know if it was the way they made her up or what they did. She had that ageless quality that I've been really hoping to see. But then again, like they've been on the road, they've been running around, they've been dirty. She's finally home and able to shower and put on her face.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it did make sense that she looked more glamorous in this. And speaking of glamorous, just Tar Valon is so beautiful. All of the archways and like when they would walk from place to place, like when they went to the Yellow Aja sector with like all of the herbs and the yellow, like it was every single bit of the White Tower in Tar Valon is just so enticing and beautiful, and it's even more beautiful than I pictured. So it's
definitely vibrant,
glorious. Glorious.
From a production design perspective, they're doing such a great job making it feel vast. I mean, obviously the CG shots are very clear, but most of the sets they're pretty tight.
Yes.
But they create the illusion of so much more by the way that they feel, it's always a constant feeling of open air that could feel completely wrong and feel very much like a set if you actually had those walled off. But those little whatever you want to call them, do-jabbers.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. Absolutely.
Speaking of presence, Sophie Okendo's portrayal of Swan Sanchez was captivating.
Yes.
Like when she was talking to Egwene and Nynaeve, I was hanging on her every word and every nuance of everything that she said in that scene. And just her presence as Amyrlin was incredible.
Yes.
But just wow.
Yeah. I actually think that the scene, so when she's on her throne, it's like, okay, don't mess with this one. It's very clear. Just the right amount of regal, the right amount of power. Everything was fantastic. And the scene when she is talking to Egwene and Nynaeve, I thought that was really interesting, the way she dressed down a bit. She was much more casual.
I'm the Amyrlin Seat. Like, that was hilarious.
She was setting them up.
Yeah.
I was very clever. Like, this is the way someone with power would set you up to see, like, let me see what these people are really like. Get them comfortable. Maybe make them feel like they can underestimate me so I can, like, really pounce if I need to.
So this episode made it clear that all of Robert Jordan's corporal punishment that used to happen in the books is not going to happen, because Egwene would have had her ass beat for saying what she said to Swan Sanchez, just being like, now that you're done blowing smoke up her ass. Like, in the books...
Nynaeve, right? Nynaeve.
Did I say Nynaeve?
I thought maybe.
I thought I said Nynaeve.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Egwene didn't talk shit.
You know the characters.
I do. The woman's name is
Just a little
Egwene.
bit.
In the books, everybody's getting beaten every 2 minutes in the White Tower, like getting their asses switched with air on the daily. Like most of the novices,
it's
like
corporal punishment with
can't
air
sit down.
Power.
Yep,
really?
Getting lashed with air. Like
weird.
Most of them get absolutely wrecked on the daily. Like, and like I was like, wow, Swan did not physically hurt them. I'm shocked. Like the mistresses and novices.
Although the on your knees bit was pretty.
Oh wow, that was so much more suggestive.
No, it was great. It was a nice bit of parallel. Like
very nice bit.
That honestly told you everything you needed to know about the relationship. And it was
when Moiraine was like, the Amyrlin Seat only listens to one woman.
Yes, it was okay. There's quite a bit here. Again. Presence. Everything was about just like everything had weight, everything had presence, and history, and like every room, every set piece, every dialogue. It was just great to see the characters come out. When like Loyal came out, I think about it's like when you first see him pop out, it was a little weird that like Moiraine, I guess, didn't know him.
Yeah, he was in a scene and she didn't acknowledge him, how can you miss
Yeah.
him?
It's like, oh, okay. Maybe one of those weird things where someone weird walks in and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going to pretend you're not there. We've not been properly introduced, but, Rand, how are you?
I see you've met an Ogier.
No, not even. Yeah, but so when everyone walked in this episode, I was finally like, all right, cool, and so it tells me that that exorcism sequence is pretty great too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's obviously not how it's done in the books.
Mm-hmm.
This was better. I liked it. I like that they fast forward it to now. And honestly, part of me is wondering, when was Barney fired? Because I think so. Matt. He's been recast for season 2. Part of me wonders if they're like, we should speed up the healing now. I don't know. Actually, that doesn't quite make sense.
No, not necessarily. Because what I would think that if it was about that, they would have kept that longer. So it's like, whoa, he's been really messed up, and then you heal him, and he comes up as a different actor.
You're right.
That's what they did with Leonardo on the Ninja Turtles.
Turtle?
Yeah, the Ninja Turtles. Yeah. They got Seth Green to replace. Wow. Okay. I'm just gonna not go into nerd tangents. Unless.
What do you think we're doing here?
The
show should be called Nerd Tangents.
Additional nerd tangents. I've tried the Fortnite thing. I tried the Star Wars thing.
None of it's landing.
Nothing. I do does.
That's fine. Right. You're right. So I guess it probably would have made sense that he was healed, and all of a sudden, like, wow, Matt, you look different.
Yeah,
and it's Donald Flynn. Like,
I feel like I've had a certain weight lifted from you. But, lighter.
Yeah. So they changed the timeline of that. They changed the circumstances. Like, it wasn't the Amyrlin who healed him. It was, Varen wasn't there. I can't wait for Varen. Oh my god.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, none of that stuff was really important, right? Yeah.
Until the end, but it kind of makes sense. So Matt really doesn't do much when he's at the Eye of the World, right? Or is Matt even there?
Well,
I'm trying to remember. Like, I think he was sick as a dog. So he obviously wasn't in the fight at the end.
That's so weird. It's been a while.
Sorry, I'm totally blanking on what Matt does in the last book.
I don't remember much about the other world at all. Like, what happens in that
blanking.
sequence?
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. But I do remember quite a bit about the ways, and there's a lot of that really stuck with me. We're going to talk about.
Let's talk about the ways. Yes.
It's a lot of stuff. We'll probably bounce around, but I mean,
it's fine.
Right? Yeah. All right.
We'll bounce like salmon down the river.
What was the thing about the sardines?
The sardines will come in their own time, just like the wheel weaves as the wheel will.
Wait a second. Why did Daddy Amyrlin?
Mr. Sanchez.
No. We'll call him Daddy Amyrlin. That's better. Why did he just send her off? He's like, oh, it's dangerous out here. You need the protection of those people. But Daddy, it's really far. I don't. Like one arm. You take care of yourself.
Tyr is not close to the White Tower, so Swan had a long ride.
Yeah, and so what was that all about? Was this like a rite of passage?
Well, no. So somebody scrawled the dragon fang on their door, which means get the fuck out.
Sure, that's all the more reason to stick with your young daughter, who is clearly the target of a lot of hate.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's fair.
Anyway,
the Dadderlin did a bad job.
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was nice for her to set out. She's obviously very strong and independent.
We can see that clearly.
Okay, so back to what we were saying. Okay,
we were talking about the ways.
The ways, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, so I clearly have no problem with certain changes because they make sense. However, channeling to get in the ways is a no-go. It's a no-go.
To get in.
You can't. So the way to open the ways.
Yeah.
No. The way to open the ways is you see this carving and it looks like a tree. And there's one leaf that's the special leaf, and you pull the special leaf off, and that unlocks the way gate. And then if you keep the leaf, that's the key, and you cannot open up that way gate. So in I'm not going to clap because you've told me not to do that. In countless scenes, it is important to hide the way gate key so that the Trollocs can't get out. Like, that is something that was tasked to Loyal. That is something that is hugely important. And also, there are plenty of scenes where the characters go into the ways and don't have a channeler with them, or don't have... I just don't understand why you have to channel to get into the ways. It doesn't make sense. it's going to cause continuity problems. Like, there are two things, like I said in this, that are kind of cause continuity problems in the rest of the show. And that's fine. But like, when you bite off something that big, you're going to have to really try to see it through.
That, to me, that seems like a low level of detail.
Really?
And, well, because, I mean, they've clearly shown a willingness to make big changes. And I keep saying we don't know how it's going to play out. And that's fine.
The ways were made by Ogier, and Ogier can't channel. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's possible that he could have got... They didn't say he couldn't get in. It's possible that he's young, right? So maybe they're doing a thing where he has to learn that. Because listen, he's had very little screen time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's what he wants, what his skills are. None of that stuff has been explained, which is, a bit of a weakness in the story, honestly. Mm. But I would suspect that will come to a head in the next episode as they try and exit, or as he's explaining and that kind of thing. It's like, well, my knowledge is limited, and then so you want to show a little growth there. And I think in a lot of ways, Moiraine is your tool for exposition, and you could say, I guess, an Ogier could also be that.
I think this next episode is going to be Loyal's time to shine, but just the fact alone that waygates are made and the ways were made by Ogier, and you can't channel in them, and steading. There's so many things wrong with the mythology here that I'm just having trouble computing. I don't know if other fans are having that, but like, I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. And I may be forgetting something.
Well, it could be that you could use it to get in, and. Yeah, if she's channeling when she's inside, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's too far. You know? Yeah. Because it's just a special place. I think that
Right. Well, Bill has an interesting theory on Ogier. I don't know. Do you want to share that? Do you want to are people ready?
No, I'm still making the case. I'm gonna need to ping you a bunch. I have two things that are going to and again, I don't know that much about the series. I've only read 3 or 4. And it's been a while. No.
You forgot the whole plot of The Dragon Reborn.
Irregardless, I definitely read 3.
Irregardless.
So, I had mentioned to her a few things, and kind of got a little what are you talking about? I was like, no, this clearly means this thing. And she's like, well, no. And then I sort of did the prosecutorial thing. Was, well, hold on. What about this? Who is this? And she's like, well, shoot.
He makes some interesting points. I'm not sure if the world is ready for them, though.
Should I tease it? Tease a couple things?
Just say the Ogier thing. See what people say in the comments.
Well, he's an alien.
He thinks Ogier are aliens.
Well, I mean, this is a science fiction book. This is a series. It's fantasy. It's science fiction dressed as fantasy. I could go on. I will have a long discussion about this, but right now we're just talking about episode 6.
Anyway, no, he was saying that steading are not of this world, and that's why they have the longing when they leave.
Yes, and so that's why you can't channel this, because you're not. The source is only on Earth, and it's a whole different thing. The source is actually technology. It's like Wi-Fi, and when you're far away from it, you don't have a connection to it because. Try getting a signal on the other side of the universe, where the Ogier are from. And why the Ogier get homesick, because, they're not in their home climate. They're not in their home planet.
Interesting food for thought.
There's a lot more to it. I'll
get
back to you. I need to do a little more research, but when I picked up the glossary, and I was like, okay, well, tell me about this character. And then, okay, that supports what I'm saying. Confirmation bias, folks. Look it up. Sorry, episode 6. I'll stop.
Episode 6.
Distractions.
Okay, so I know a lot of people are going to bring the hate about the romantic relationship between Swan and Moiraine.
Really?
Yes, because
that's legit.
It's canon if you read it the right way. So, naive 16-year-old me, when I was reading that they were pillow friends, I thought they had sleepovers together. I didn't quite get the implication until I continued to read the series and be like, oh, I think Swan and Moiraine might have hooked up a little bit. But it wasn't a love story, right? They were best friends. they had
Capital
a
F.
shocking moment together when Guitarra Moroso was like, "The dragon's reborn, oh shit." And everybody just the two of them were there. And so that was their big secret. And that secret changed their lives and the trajectory of their lives. And so they have shared this very special bond and this very special friendship. And when they were novices and when they were young in the tower, yeah, they spent quite a bit of time together. But I didn't ever think of it as like a love for the ages. But I bought into it on the show.
Yeah,
I liked
definitely.
the two of them together.
Yeah. Even though they teleported back to Fish City.
Fish City.
That was not at the tower. You're like, oh, like how she dressed up. I was like, no. They teleported to where she grew up. You could hear the froggies in the background.
Yeah. So they basically had they each had a terangrial where they could go meet up together. I like them. I think that it was tender and you could see a lot of history, and they're both really strong and complementary.
How do we feel after seeing her on screen? The casting bits that we talked about. How do we feel at that?
Well, I thought she was Swan. I felt was very regal, very tough,
stern, powerful.
Stern and powerful. Almost too. I think she was almost like too aristocratic, too haughty. Like Swan comes from nothing and became the Amyrlin. And like her her street side showed a lot in the books. Like I feel like she was always talking like a peasant in a good way. Like I enjoyed down to earth Swan, and this Swan seemed a little bit more regal, but she was amazing. And she should, I think it was to not confuse people, because like this is the Amyrlin Seat. She's got to be regal. She's got to be like this, and that's fine. But I feel like I like Swan from the books. Who's just like,
yeah, I don't know if they need to show actually, now that it comes down to it, I don't know if they needed to show the backstory. I don't know if that added anything meaningful there. And in fact, I love whoever the actress is. I love the way she carried her scenes and performed all that. But I do have two issues now that I think about it. I don't think that flashback was necessary at all. I think it actually kind of... So, I think you had your guard down. You were comfortable with her. She was humanized. And when you see her in that throne, you're like, oh, don't mess with her. If we hadn't seen that scene before, we're like, okay, we would have been more in Moraine's shoes, where it's like, what's gonna happen? Oh man, she gonna like, and like more vulnerable. And then when she transitions into the Fish City, what's it called? Sorry.
She's from Tyr.
Okay, yeah. Transitions to Tyr. It would have been like, oh, what? Where is she? Oh my God, they have a relationship. It would have been a much more interesting way to present it, I feel. And you could have done the backstory thing at some point in the future. I mean, I'm sure that's not the only.
It actually may have been more interesting to see that flashback later in the episode when you're like, wow, that's interesting where she came from. And
I think it's probably that it wouldn't have served a purpose at that point. So I think they're like, we got to get this in. We got to like, and it's just like, well, do you really?
My question is, and sorry, Bill, when they still Swan and she becomes young, are they going to have that same actress play Swan? So are we not going to have Sophie Okendo? Because if I'm being honest, and I'm not being catty at all here, she looked really old. Like, she did not have an Aes Sedai agelessness to her. She looked older than Moiraine by a lot, and we know that they were novices together, so the ages didn't really match up. So after she gets stilled, I think that because that's going to be in a few years, that same pretty little actress will probably be the age that Swan was when she was a novice, and therefore when she does the age regression after being stilled.
Interesting.
I think that's what they did. That's why they did that.
All right, so 2 types of spoiler alerts. There's this whole episode episode of this show is spoilers for the episode, obviously, duh. But we should be careful about spoilers.
I thought I said that at the beginning. I'm like, this is spoilers for the books. Like,
okay, all right.
Yeah,
cool.
I said that because these are things that happen that have ramifications through the entire series, and so playing off that, the Moiraine Swan romance does affect Swan and Gareth Bryan, you decide. Which I never really felt that relationship worked anyway. It was just kind of like, here's this old general and like a young-ish but not really. She's totally legal because she's like 50.
Well,
Like, it was just weird. I never really understood that love. And, I mean, Moiraine and Tom. So, I am interested to see if that never happens. Like, I thought that they picked cool, hot Tom so that he could, like, be worthy of our Moiraine instead of, like, just an old crotchety guy. Yeah.
did you get a sense that Lan was jealous this episode?
No, I think he was being protective. I think he was like, I don't like that I can't feel you, but I kind of get why you masked the bond. Like, it's going to get awkward.
Yeah, well, okay, so you thought he got... I thought he was trying to figure out why. I don't think he understood why, did he?
Oh, he goes, be safe, send her my love. Like, he knew
Oh,
what
did he
she
say
was
that?
doing.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, he knew what she was
Well,
doing.
okay, so... But he was a little upset about it, though, it seemed.
I think that upset was protectiveness. Like...
Again, presence. All the rest of the shots, there was a weight to it. It was very... He felt like he had been scorned.
I think we need a rewatch.
Like when they were about to take off, Lan was, whatever, order of operations. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but it felt like he was disappointed.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
I didn't get that at all. I
Once
got,
again.
like, protective Lan.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we're coming off an episode where Lan lost a friend because his friend lost his Aes Sedai. And so I think that on Lan's mind right now is Moraine's mortality. And so, like, oh, I don't like that you're masking
Maybe,
the bond. I don't
good
want
point.
you to go away from me. Like, don't leave me.
That's a good point. Sure. Sure. Okay.
So I didn't see it, but I would love to rewatch. I mean, I definitely want to rewatch episodes 4, 5, and 6 because I rewatched episodes 1 through 3.
Yeah, without me. Very dear.
How dare. But I loved this episode. This was
it really was
amazing. Oh, so ramifications. Matt not going into the ways. I was literally gasping for air shocked.
It's a bit much.
You saw me. I was like,
It was.
I could not believe it.
It was interesting. I'm not sure how they're gonna.
What's he gonna do?
Go. Well, a part of me, the skeptic in me, and how these sort of shows go. A part of me is just like, oh, gonna open right back up. I know that they can't, but maybe they'll be like, oh, here's a leaf.
Actually, no, I know what's gonna happen. So part of me
just nailed it.
No, I don't think
I
you
think
did.
I just
I don't
nailed
think you did. You also think Ogier are aliens. So
It says on the glossary.
I was having kind of.
I will
It
go
did
get.
not.
I will go get the glossary. They say not of this world. It says that there's like
Oh yeah, it does.
3 sentences, and one of them is not of this world.
That just means they're awesome. Like Loyal's out of this world. He's just so. Great.
I want to make the full case, but like I said,
That'll be a different video.
Game, set, and match. No, yeah, I'm gonna PowerPoint presentation, folks.
Get ready.
Buckle up.
So, as the gang was going into the ways, I thought to myself, I was like, oh, this is going to be the first episode where you don't have multiple points of view. So I really like episodes where you say like, oh, what are Egwene and Perrin doing? What are Matt and Range doing? This was just going to be one continuous thing, unless there were flashbacks or whatever to break it up. And now we have a parallel story going. And I'm telling you, this is what is going to happen. It is going to be Matt starts to toss the dice and realizes he has massive holes in his memory from the incident with the dagger. And you see Matt start to see gambler Matt big time, maybe coming back from the first episode where he was gambling, but he didn't have his luck then. I think this is where the luck comes in. I think this is where the holes in the memory come in, and this is going to establish his goal. I want to fill the holes in my memory. That becomes Matt's driving goal for 2 books now.
That's a little bit, I think, inside baseball.
They need something to do other than
I think they'll revisit the darkness a little bit. I don't think he's just going to go completely on like, oh, okay, I'm good, And I think that with the stuff you were just talking about, that's a little tough. I mean, so one of the things I was going to say, one of the complaints that I have right now is, okay, so they're together as a group going into the ways, and a lot of them haven't had any time, haven't even met, some of the characters, like Loyal hasn't met a lot of the characters. They were on the screen a couple of times for a couple seconds.
There's that big guy
But
again.
there was a lot of traveling together and whatnot. And so I've loved what we've seen so far. I'm completely discounting the changes, and that's fine. Again, see how it plays out. But I feel like a lot of what they're going to go through next is going to be a bit hollower because they haven't had nearly the same amount of interactions, and they knew each other by this point. And right now, because of the splitting and because of so little time on screen together, it's not going to have as much weight.
Yeah, I have an odd feeling that the next episode is not going to be as good. I don't really have any.
Oh, I think it will.
Substance to back me up.
This is what I'm talking about, though. This is I hope that they slow down, and this should be. Let's just have dark moment of the soul where it's just the characters. You start off with it's awkward, and they start to kind of gel together, and things get dark, and then they have to bond together and get through, and that kind of thing. And I hope that they're able to slow down and not in general. Again, I echo what I said the first few episodes. Slow down and let the characters do their thing, and that's why this episode was so great, even if it comes at a cost of what's going to happen next. But again, Moiraine got a lot of screen time, and it was worth it. It was powerful, but it may come at a price. It may come at the price of I don't know, these characters aren't really gelling.
Yeah.
So
off topic from this, who is Leandron meeting on the docks? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about this. So Moiraine Sedai, who is the blue Aes Sedai, who was in the random bathhouse scene, she said that there have been a lot of ships going missing. And so immediately I look at him, I was like, that's the Seanchan. I think that they're going to introduce the Seanchan sooner than in the books. And so we all know what Leandron is famous for, which is kidnapping Egwene and Nynaeve and basically selling them to the Seanchan to be Damani. Could this be a Seanchan informant, a Seanchan captain, a Seanchan Suldam? I don't know. Well, it's a man, so it's not a Suldam. But could this be a Seanchan man? Or is it part of her Dark Friend network? Who do you think this guy at the docks is?
I don't think they'll pay that off.
You can't just say that. No way.
No
way.
Well, given that they didn't set it up at all, I kind of feel like it was throwaway.
Listen, you can't imply that Leandron talks to a man and not pay it off. She just wouldn't. She just wouldn't. No. And I feel like this episode was further confirmation that she's going to be Elydrin. There's no question in my mind.
It's a good call.
The characters are blended now.
That was a good call.
So, anything else from this episode?
No, I mean, it's just, again, presence, really great form, just it's in its stride, and now it's like we're coasting now. We are everything's been set up, and I hope we enjoy the ride, and there's no huge bumps with a lot of the chemistry and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the liberties they've taken.
Yeah.
It's moving, I think, in a good direction, and it's a ride. It's great.
Yeah,
right?
I'm dying to rewatch because there's a lot.
I think this is probably one of the more accessible episodes. There wasn't a lot of fighting or anything like that, but I think this is the kind of thing where this is what the show feels like if you wanted to show someone who doesn't watch. You must have been happy with all the politicking, right?
Yes.
See where Jan.
Yes. If the show was just about Aes Sedai, I would be fine. Be like, can we just have an offshoot, just the real Aes Sedai of the White Tower, and that's fine, and I'll just watch it all the time. Yeah, it was really, really great. Can't wait to rewatch. Can't wait to hear what people think, though. Like I said, there were a lot of major changes. I see where they're going with a lot of it, but a lot of it for me is continuity stuff. So I want to hear if you think. I want to hear what you think about the steading. I want to hear what you think about what Matt is going to do in the next episode. Did you like the Swan, Moiraine relationship? And do you think that there are long-term continuity issues, or they're just going to be fine? So please like and subscribe and share if you enjoy this video. And
Get some more people to watch the show too, right?
Yeah, right?
#1 streaming show. It's going to keep growing.
In the world.
Right, but we can get more people in for the finale. That'll be a
Indeed.
big thing. So a couple more episodes to...
Indeed. So may you always find water and shade. Walk in the light. Tai Shar Manetherin, Tai Shar Malkir. Good night.